We want to welcome you here today. We're so happy. We woke up this morning and we said, what if everybody went home? So we're really happy to see you. If you came in a little bit after I handed out, the handouts are right here on this little table here. So we are here from Palm Beach County. We're finding a lot of people from other places. And we're working with social learning groups for unique ages, for unique people of all ages. And being here, I'm also the mother of a young man, 44 years, who has multiple challenges. So I'm seeing my peeps here. Some really kind of makes me feel at home. We hope today that you're going to gain insight into some social learning methods that maybe you were not aware of before. And we're going to be sharing, and we're going to be asking you to participate a little bit. And so we hope, as well as learning something, that you're going to have some fun today. Are you going to change that slide? Okay, so before we get started, we'd like to know who we have in our audience. And then we'll tell you a little bit about ourselves. So if you are a parent of someone who has social learning challenges, would you mind raising your hand? Aha, we have a lot of you here today. Okay. If you're a teacher who works with children or adults who have social learning challenges. Yes, okay, in the back there. Okay, and if you're a speech pathologist, which we are, any speech pathologists here? Okay, we don't have any. Social worker? One, okay. And what about grandparents? Yes, okay, great. All right, anybody else who I forgot to mention? Shout out, mental health counselor? Card. Okay, and who else? Early Steps, okay. I used to be a member of Early Steps. Mentors, peer mentors, great. Okay, so we have quite a variety of people here. Raise your hand if you have ever heard of Michelle Garcia Winner's social thinking. Yes, we got a couple of people, great. Okay, so who are we? I am Donna Wexler, this is Alana Fichtelberg, and we are both speech pathologists. As I told you, I am the parent of a multiply handicapped young man. He has been my greatest teacher. I also have been doing speech language therapy for 51 years this year. I haven't stopped yet, and I still love it. So I've worked in multiple environments. I've worked with nonverbal children, with articulation, language, autism, just cerebral palsy, a variety of disorders, and babies as well. Actually, I forgot, I worked in a NICU for a while at Baptist Hospital in Miami. Lately, I watched Love on the Spectrum, which was on Netflix. Raise your hand if you've seen Love on the Spectrum. Yes, it's about young adults who are looking for a relationship, or social relationship, or just a partner. And I was very inspired, realizing that many of my students had grown and were now young adults. So I called my friend Alana, and we started to talk about what we needed to do about this. So we have started working with groups of people who are young adults, and we are very excited about this. But we also have a background in working with young children. As I said, I worked in the NICU all the way up to one of my patients was 65 years old and having social challenges in his retirement community. Michelle Winner has been our mentor. She has really inspired us, but we have a lot of other people we also work with. So here is Alana. She'll tell you a little bit about herself.
Hi, welcome. Anybody who came, there's handouts here. Please feel free to get them. And please kind of, I'm sorry? They're over here. Also, hopefully you're flexible because we have changed some of the order of the slides, so we're hoping that you'll be flexible and bend your brain. but we kind of want you to follow us here anyway. I've been a speech therapist for 21 years, 15 years in New Jersey, and the last almost 6 years in Florida, working in general public schools, schools for children with autism, then went out on my own, and so working with children from preschool all the way through young adult and adult. With a variety of communication challenges. And I worked with in New Jersey special education attorneys writing court evaluations to help get our students and our kids their appropriate placements and services. I serve as a consultant for school districts and teachers and ABA programs. And just in terms of groups and social, nobody kind of likes to talk about social because it's such a hard thing to touch. It's not so easy to do some trials on. But when I was working in the schools and we did groups, and you know, in the schools, you know, you have to pull the kids when you can. So some kids can't get pulled. You can't pull them from gym. You can't pull them from English. And the next thing you know is you have a big heterogeneous group of students with various language levels, and it was making it really difficult to have, you know, successful and appropriate kinds of groups, the best we could do. And then when I went on my own, it was frustrating. There was something missing. I didn't know what. I did some research, looked up Michelle Garcia Winner, a speech therapist in California, doing social thinking, and it rocked my world. And so hopefully it will rock yours too. If you don't know about Michelle Garcia and social thinking, that's what a lot of our presentation is about, but also some other brilliant people, including Barry Prezant, listed here, that has a book, Uniquely Human, which we have here, but a podcast that you must join and be a part of. It's free. You don't have to have a child with autism to absolutely love and learn from this. And we'll be mentioning some of the others as we go along. And again, just be flexible with our handout, but we have more interesting things up here. And what we hope you walk away with is a newer understanding of thinking and what thinking needs to do to be social. You're going to walk away with activities. We're going to try and do as many different kind of activities in as many different levels as we can, so you can go home and use it in the car, in a restaurant, at your house. Not specifically this is social time, but throughout your day. And you're going to see some of the things that we do in our groups and how we form our groups to make it successful. And before we get our actual start, this is a quote from Michelle Garcia Winner that says, before you can act social, you have to be able to think social. You have to be able to think about who you're talking to, where you are, how you need to talk. It's not just saying hi. So Donna is going to tell you more now in more detail.
We get to learn to share the microphone. So we look at social we're looking at 2 points of view. So the first is social skills, who you've probably heard that term. We get calls all the time, parents saying, my son or daughter really needs some social skills. They don't have friends and they don't know how to get along. And that view of social learning is usually learned rules that you learn a rule and you use it across situations. So for example, I might go up to this nice woman and say, I don't know if you're comfortable shaking hands. Hello, it's nice to meet you. You as well. Yes. And I might go over here and say, hello, it's nice to meet you. And then I might see the baby coming in, and I might go over to the baby. If I only know that social rule, I'm going to go to the baby and I'm going to say, hello, nice to meet you. Oh, that's a little bit unexpected, right? So the view of social learning, on the other hand, if I am greeting a teen, I might say, yo, hey, what's up? How you doing, right? And that would, the other person would feel comfortable. If I walked up to that person and said, hello, how you doing? They might think a little bit uncomfortable thoughts about me. So with social thinking, we want to teach our students to think about other people. We want them to think about the who, what, when, where, why they are communicating with that person? What is the context? Are they in a big room? Are you in a restaurant? Are you in school? Are you talking to the principal? That's very important. And the most important is looking at the big picture. So here we have two people. This is from Love on the Spectrum, and they're going to have a date, and this young man is going to get ready for that date. Right?
I was looking at the YouTube, it keeps stopping by itself.
Yes. You think it stopped by itself. Thank you for letting us know that. So he was thinking about his date, but was he thinking about the date, but was he thinking about the person he was going to meet on the date? He did not know this person. So he was getting ready. He was using his social skills to prepare the cards so that he wouldn't have a lapse. And he said, it's the worst thing to have a lapse in the conversation and have crickets in the background. So, and notice that his mother did not join in. She didn't say, those cards aren't going to work. Why are you doing that? You just need to relax and think about the other person. So let's see what happens next.
And notice that he was wanting to say his name in Japanese and not even knowing who this girl is. Not even knowing who the girl is, and why would she be interested? Would she be interested in Japanese? So here is this skill part, just kind of a rule-based, instead of thinking more globally.
So he looked down at his cards and he realized that they weren't going to work, and he didn't know which one he was supposed to use, right? And luckily he had a very accommodating partner who said, just relax and you'll know what to say. And that's what social thinking is about, to relax, consider the situation, consider the person, and then you'll know what to say. What else?
So in this next one, another clipping from Love on the Spectrum, I want you to take a look. Here we have two young adults, and I want you to be able to think about look at their eyes, their eye contact, what they do with their eyes or not, their words, their body, and their brain. Their brain meaning, are they talking about the same things? Were they thinking about each other? And should these two be, let's say, a pair, whether on a date, whether in a group of ours, and with a good match? Words, eyes, body, brain. Let's see what you think.
Okay, so obviously these two young people are not a good match, right? Maddie, on the right, is quite sophisticated with her language. She knows how to initiate a conversation. She's trying to keep the conversation going. But this young man, Sean, is very uncomfortable because he's into something that doesn't work for him. He doesn't understand, really. And then Maddie rescued him by saying, do you think we should go inside? So that's problem solving, right? So when we do our groups, we make sure, as much as we can, that the people in the groups are matched as far as their cognitive level, their language level, that they can use language to talk about thinking. And of course, the young man, he would need more of a social skills approach. He would need to learn the rules and try to apply them to appropriate situations. But he is not able to be a flexible thinker. That doesn't mean that we can't try to move him along, because I have seen many miracles where children were like that and then were able to move to a higher language level. This next is what we call the perfect first date.
So again, can you see the difference? Words, eyes, body, brain, and those are the four elements to be a successful communicator. So what do we have here? And to be on a similar level, right? So, oops, put this on. Okay. So you can see the back and the forth, the eyes looking at each other, the bodies facing each other, the commenting back and forth, the questions, the answers. And while their language levels may not be as high as Maddie from the other slide, how beautiful was that? And so these are the kinds of, we try to match the students in the groups as best as we can. This would be a perfect match, as a perfect date. Going on to the next slide, and basically this is the kind of the crux of what we're going to talk about, the why. In a social skill way of learning, and some of our students need that, it's basically this is the rule. Okay, you need to say hi when somebody comes into the room. You need to say goodbye. Those are the rules. And what social thinking is saying is, no, that's not quite true. Yes, you want to say hi generally to somebody in the room, but it depends on who you're talking to, as Donna said. So if we would use this, for example, if anybody's seen Rain Man, okay, and what's the rule? The rule is when the light is red, you stop, right? You don't cross the street. Okay, that's right. Okay, but Justin Hoffman, being very literal, goes across, it's green, goes across the street. In the middle of this big intersection, the light changed to red. So what did he do? He stopped. And if you teach a rule like that, that's what's going to happen. Our job as a social thinking people is we need to talk about the why. We need to tell our kids whether, even if our kids can't say a full sentence, I want to do this because, we need to give them the reasons why. Please hold my hand. Not just hold my hand when you cross the street. Hold my hand because I want you to be safe. I had taken a high school group to Applebee's. We sat there. The 3 boys were talking. 1 boy was not. What's up, bud? We go to restaurants to eat. That is a social rule, okay? And if we're just teaching kids who can think, just the rule, they're going to mess up because they're going to mess up on saying, hey, to the principal. They're going to mess up and they're going to sit in a restaurant and just eat and not talk. There's a book called Context Blindness where he talks about his mistakes of working with adults, that they were planning parties. Okay, and what you would do when you'd have a party at your house. This is great. All the young adults knew what to do. The only problem was, which he didn't realize when he was thinking, they planned a party for the summer. Okay, and one of the things that they taught the young adults is when you open the door is, may I take your coat? It's very polite. That's a rule. That's a social rule, right? The problem was it was like August. There were no coats when the person, came to the door, and the young adults were still saying, "Can I take your coat?" So if you don't just teach a rule. You have to teach the context of what is going on, who you are talking to, what is going on. So if nothing else, when you're with your kids now, think about telling them why. You don't have to have long, complicated sentences. Shorter ones if you need to, longer if it's appropriate, but we want them to start thinking why. We need them to be problem solvers. If something goes wrong, it's not in my rule base, I'm done? Or can I think about how do I turn that item on? How do I do this? Or can I ask for help? Whatever. So that if you get nothing else from today, please get that why constantly, constantly. We want them to think and to problem solve.
And going back to that idea, a lot of, I don't know how many people we have here who work with young children, but if you do, I know we've shown a lot of grown-ups, but for example, when you say to your child, hold my hand when you're crossing the street, why hold my hand? Hold my hand, I want you to be safe, okay? We need to eat dinner now because it's time. So you need to put your iPad away. We need to eat dinner now so that we can give a reason. And the more the children hear that, the more they start connecting that why. Okay, do you mind? We've talked a little bit about context, about looking at the big picture. So if you look at that first girl on the left, you can see, what are you thinking? Somebody just give a shout out. What do you think that girl is feeling? She looks afraid. Anybody else have an opinion? She's happy. Somebody said she's happy. Yeah, what else? Unhappy. She's unhappy. Okay. So you're looking just at her face. Now we're going to show you the whole picture, and I think you might change your mind. Yeah. So she obviously has won something. She's got roses, and those are tears. You probably can't see from back there, but those are tears of joy. And if you weren't looking at the whole picture, you would miss the meaning. This next picture, what do you see there? Smile, a smile, yeah. So you're thinking, this must be a happy kid, right? Let's look at the whole picture. Aha. Aha, he's planning something, isn't he? He's got a mischievous look on his face, so you might be thinking, I better watch this one, right? Rather than just a smile. So looking at the context of the whole situation is so important, along with the why. Yes. Okay.
So more, and again, you know, we assume that what we see is what our kids or our students are seeing. And you will be very surprised. Take just a picture, just kind of a simple picture, and ask your child what they see. And you would be amazed. I'm constantly amazed that our kids will see everything but the two people that are in the picture. And in this case, this is a 12-year-old. I have a student, 12-year-old student, about 6 months ago, and we were just working on sentences. Just, you know, subject, verb, object kind of thing. And I thought this would be it was Halloween, it was cool to do this, and it sort of backfired in a way. She wrote a good sentence. The girl is eating a spider, okay? I mean, she's got the subject, verb, object, but look what she did. She missed the whole context of the picture. Obviously, she's scared. Obviously, there's a huge spider. And working with just from the next 6 months of like looking around, seeing what the picture is. Just last week, I gave her this picture again. She hadn't seen it since that very first time, and she said the girl is scared because of the spider. So we know we were working on, now she's seeing the big picture, and if you can't see the big picture in a static picture, how are you going to see it on the playground where people are moving and talking and screaming and running? So please make sure you can sit in a restaurant, see what do we see around here? If it's a video, stop it. Have your child talk about, or even if they're not talking, point to the this, point to the that, point to that. Make sure that they're really seeing what you're thinking and hoping they're seeing. And on our list is also books. Wordless books are amongst our favorites. And this is another way to talk about making sure you see the whole picture and also being able to take the perspective of another. Mercer Mayer makes tons of wordless books, and they're so good, the illustrations. So here's the first page of the book, and the boy has a present. He's going like this. And we know, because we see the clue of this, is that it's the boy's present. Now, I can't tell you how many of our kids don't see that, don't pick that up and say, I don't know who's present. It's nobody's present, because your child doesn't know whose present it is. You know, even looking about what's the dog looking at? We know the dog's looking at the boy. Do our kids? And we want to talk about that. We want to make sure. And the second picture is a lot of perspective taking there. Now, we don't know what's in the box, no. If we'll ask our kids, some kids will say, well, nobody knows. And those are the kids, we ask questions like that, and that gives us a good assessment of where that child is and who he needs to be put with. Now, we know, because we can take the perspective of the characters, that the frog knows what's in the box, the dog knows what's in the box. The turtle does not, because he can't reach. And obviously the boy knows. One very bright student that I had, I said, okay, what's in the box? Because we like our kids to guess. That's another thing. We want them to risk take, guess. What that boy said was, oh, I know what's in the box, a dice. And I'm like, what? And then you see what he's holding up looks like the dots of a dice. So again, he misunderstood the context. And when you do that, if you misunderstand what you're seeing, you're going to maybe misunderstand what the behaviors of people, and then think the wrong thoughts of what is going on. So we want to make sure our kids really know what they're looking at.
This is from another show called Atypical. I don't know if you've seen that, but it's a boy who is obviously has Asperger's, and he's really brilliant boy. So we have to remember that being brilliant doesn't mean that your social learning skills are commensurate with your being brilliant. Here's a conversation that he's having with his girlfriend. I love her face, huh? She's like, really? Okay. So obviously he is only thinking of one person. That would be himself, right? And some people might see him as being unkind or actually even mean, condescending, but he really he's not able to take another person's perspective. He's only thinking of himself. He's not seeing the big picture. Okay, so we have a few fun things we'd like to show you. I don't know how we're going to do with this with the microphone, but let's see if we can. Okay, so this game, yeah, let's do. We got 3, all of them. Okay, so I normally play this game to help students to use their eyes, body, brain, and stay connected and to think about the other person. So we call this game, usually it's called ball basket, but today it's called ball bag. Okay, so you are going to, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Do you know what we're doing here?
Well, yeah, I'm throwing the ball.
Yes. Oh, okay. So I'm going to hold the bag, and I want you to notice if I'm ready. If I'm ready, you can ask me if I'm ready. That's okay. And use your eyes to stay connected to me so you'll know if I'm ready, okay? And then you're going to throw the ball in the bag, okay?
Where were you?
I was not ready. You forgot to ask me if I was ready. Uh-oh. Let's try again. I know we can do this. Okay.
I can't see your eyes. I can't. No, yeah, well, your body. It has to. No. Oh no. Can you turn around so I can see you? Oh,
That's
that
fair.
was. Okay. All right.
Oh, okay. Like this?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
That's good.
Oh, you missed. Let's try again.
Oh, I missed.
It's okay. Oh, don't.
I never can do this.
What zone are you in?
Well, I guess I'm in the red zone.
All right. Well, let's take a breath. Okay, we'll try again. Oh, no. Okay, we really can't do this. That's the truth. Okay.
Under stress, I can't.
Okay, so ball basket, a simple, silly game that I made up one day when I had someone who was really totally, I'm sorry that light is shining in my eyes, that I made up one day when I had a child who was really not connecting. He was in his own world, and I just said, well, let's play ball. He really loved ball, and that worked. It really got attention. And then he asked for it the next time he came. We have another.
This is just a paper towel roll. And how can we get our kids to be looking at the things that we're looking at, right? Because when you have a conversation, you both need to be looking, thinking, talking about the same thing, right? And you would think it's very easy if I say to you, go get the ball over there. Not all of our kids can follow our point or our gaze to the item. So we may have to start very close up. So you can use this kind of as a, periscope kind of thing where, okay, Johnny, I need the ball right there. Here's the ball. I may have to put my paper towel holder right onto the ball for him to understand that that's what I want. And eventually, you can move it, or you can even cut this. I mean, you can use a toilet paper roll if you wanted to, just because can your child follow a point? And can he follow your gaze if you're looking there? And you may have to start very close up and then eventually, fade yourself back. But using your eyes and being in the same place, thinking about the same thing is a critical thing to conversation, social, just being together with somebody. So this is a very easy thing to do.
And eventually, what you want them to do is just look in the same direction, and that's called joint attention. I'm sure you.
So sometimes, when your kids are not following the directions, and you say, go get the ball over, on the chair. They may understand what you're saying, but they really don't know where to look, where to go. So you may have to start really close up.
Sometimes husbands can do that.
Ever notice that?
It's on the counter.
And I think.
I love my husband. Okay, don't get me wrong. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so here we have two girls. These were Lana's clients, and they're doing add a word game. And so we're going to show you that first, and then we're going to ask for a little participation.
And it's like 7 seconds, so
Yeah.
I like to play.
It's very painless.
I like to go through this.
Okay, so they actually said, do you remember the sentence?
Yeah, you have to only add one word at a time. One word, you have to, as you can see their eyes, and they had to make a sentence. So they had to pay attention to what was said before, if it's grammatically correct and makes sense. So you really have a lot of things going. So I like to go to the movies.
Notice body, brain, eyes, and words in the group. Really well done. Okay, so we're going to do that. Yeah. So can we have these two victims here? You don't have to get out of your seat. Okay, so I'm going to start the sentence, and then you're just going to add a word, and then it'll come back to me, and we'll just make a sentence. Okay, ready? I've got a very difficult word to start with. The
happiest time
of
my life
was
when my
husband
went on
a
vacation.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, so you can have a lot of fun with that. You can do it with sentences. And I've had children as young as 6 actually make a story. A group of children adding a sentence and making a story, especially fun at Halloween.
And you can even do, and you can do it in the car, in a restaurant, in your house, waiting in the doctor's office. I mean, these are things you could do, and you can also use numbers. Like I try to do things that are academic too. So if they're counting, like maybe your child is learning to count by 2s or 5s or 10s. So it could be 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. Woohoo! So really easy to do at any time. So
All about staying connected.
and the joy of being.
And I think one thing that we really want to get across today is that being social isn't something that happens in a social group. It's not only happening in a classroom. It's not only happening with a therapist. There are hundreds of thousands of opportunities every day to be social. So you're here. I had the pleasure of meeting this young man over here and his mom, and he was able to greet me and be social, right? So there's just never a time, even when you're not with someone, you're thinking about other people. So even when you're not with them, you have them in your consciousness and you're able to be social. Okay, this is Alana's favorite. If you want to see her laugh, watch this video.
We see so many beautiful
If you have a dog, you know you don't need words, right? They can wake you up. They can, they use their bark, but they don't necessarily have to. But this dog is amazing. He is so connected to his owner and she to him. And so,
And just for you to know, what you're going to hear, there's like a soccer game going on, but it's not in English, so don't like say, oh my God, I can't understand.
you won't.
But you won't need to. Is that the best? That's the best.
And notice how they were so connected. They were looking at each other and then they shared. That's called exuberant.
So the joy of connection,
So, yeah, I don't remember.
I think so. I think this is a block.
Okay.
Oh, hour blocks? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're here.
We have another demonstration.
Maybe we should do it here on the. Oh, we could do it up here. Okay.
Okay, so this is to show you that you can do nonverbal activities, which are just as, I'm sorry, as valuable as verbal. And even more important, because we want our kids to start to look at gestures and people's faces. And so this is, and you can use blocks, you can use anything to build.
I couldn't find my notes.
Oh. So, okay. So I'm the boss in this case for now. Okay, you kind of get the idea. You can take turns being the boss. You can change, and at one point I pointed to one, or had a point one, and then I changed my mind. We're entitled to that. Sometimes we do change our mind. But we want, this, anything. We want our kids to be looking for a response.
And reading facial expression. Yes. Okay. Oh, yes. Okay. I couldn't remember what this black screen was. So I brought this video because this is just really something I wanted to share. I had 2 8-year-old boys who came as a group. I didn't want the group any bigger than that because these 2 guys are just brilliant, but they totally were like the boy in Atypical, only had their own vision in mind. And so I started they both love to build. So I started having them watch Rube Goldberg, which is build contraptions. One thing causes another thing to happen. And they were really into that idea. And they started working together, and man, they made each other so angry because they couldn't communicate. They weren't communicating with each other. So I backed up a little bit, had them draw their plan, share their plan with one another, and then we had a long discussion about thinking about the other person and taking the other person's perspective, that you do not move someone else's block that they have very carefully placed there without asking them, is it okay? So this is the end result of about 4 or 5 weeks of work on that concept of perspective taking. I never have seen any children get it this quickly. And they're building with block connectors.
Ooh, it almost made it.
No, but it goes like this, and then it can't get there, so it loses like energy when it goes like.
Loses
Then it
it.
has to go up
Maybe I
extra.
should let it go flat when it's here, so that it doesn't. Okay, redo.
Do over. Go.
So here they had come to, first of all, they built this together. They talked about what they were going to do. They negotiated, and then when it wasn't working, the boy that you cannot see on the right, he was the one who was really on his own agenda previously. He said, I think we need to, we go is a very important concept. I think we need to change this or that to make it work. And they were so happy when they got done, they gave each other high five. I was like, thank you, God. Okay. Oh, yes. Okay. All right. So now we're going to do another. This is a whole group experience. You're going to need to hold the microphone if I'm going to leave
Okay,
this.
that's true.
Okay. So this is about staying together and being together and having fun, because social learning is not supposed to be serious. It's the more fun you can have, the more that everyone remembers that what you've done. Okay? So I'm going to do a pattern. I'd turn around and sit, but I guess I can't. So I'm going to tap, and I'll be doing a pattern, but I might change the speed or the intensity. And all I want you to do is get your hands ready. Everybody have their hands ready? Okay. And we're just going to play together for just a minute. Are you ready? Yeah. Are you ready? Yes. I can't hear you. Yes, everybody's ready. Okay, here we go.
Yay!
All right, nice job. All right, you were able to do that. Everybody was together. I don't know, we have about maybe 30-some people here, and I didn't see anybody who was off. All right.
Eyes in the group.
Eyes in the group, yeah. Okay. All right. Okay, we haven't talked about this much, but emotional regulation is a big piece of social learning. And we spend a lot of time on it. We have a lot of tools that we use. Being present is the first one, and I was talking with Alana this morning, telling her that before I start my sessions, I always try to use something that focuses and calms us, because I need it. So I have a Haberman sphere. It's one of those balls that opens up into a great big ball and then goes down. So we do breathing with that. I have a little drip thing that you turn over, and we just are not allowed to talk until all of the oil has gone to the bottom. Something to calm and focus us before we get started. And we love to use the zones of regulation, the incredible 5-point. There's the zones of regulation. It has several different areas, and Leah Kuypers has invented this, and it's really effective for really just about any age of child. So with the younger children, we talk about the blue zone being sad, the sad zone, the hurt zone, the unhappy zone. The green zone is, of course, where we all want to live, but let's be real. We don't live there. You know, we're going in and out of zones constantly. The yellow zone, that's where we're getting a little bit excited. And the red zone, of course, is what we want to avoid. By the way, one of the little boys in the Lego video, he lived in the red zone. He couldn't identify any other feeling other than being in the red zone. Angry, terrified, extremely frustrated. So he came up with his own 10-point scale. Okay, we also use...
Before that,
Oh, you want to... Yes.
Can use this in the classroom. I mean, this is something that everybody can use. You know, what zone are you in? You know, when the kids come in the morning, I'm in the green zone, Miss, you know, whatever. But to be able to describe how you are, so that the teachers or the aides can, or you at home can identify. Oh my gosh, I have a problem. You know, even if they don't use a lot of words, even if they point to the zone. This is really important, so we know how to be, and teachers know how to be. So when people say, all of a sudden he just went into the red zone, no, something happened, you know?
Right, and that also opens up conversation for, I'm in the green zone today because it's my dad's birthday and we're going to have a party or I'm in the red zone because mommy and daddy were yelling at each other today. That gives you tremendous insight. You can you can use Oops, I'm sorry. You can hang up. Working together and sharing a mic. It's fun. Okay. So you can hang one of these in your classroom. You can hang it in your house, or you could just have, now you can, would you turn it? Yeah. So this is Alana's ingenious invention. These are paint chips from the paint store, which has levels, which is a little bit more a little more expanded view of, you know, I'm glad, I'm happy, I'm thrilled, I'm ecstatic, right? Okay. And then this is one of my favorites. It's Falling Apart. The 5-point scale, the incredible 5-point scale, and you can see the different emotions, which is without words. I've used this with children as little as 2. And I have magnets that have the different colors, and they love to move those around. But you can also use the 5-point scale for intensity of voice. You can use it for intensity of touch, which is also often a problem for our kids with sensory processing problems. And this is for size of the problem, matching size of the reaction. This is often a difficulty because I stub my toe can be a really big problem. But really, I stub my toe is a little problem, right? I don't know about you, but when I stub my toe, it feels like a really big problem. So a small problem is considered one that you can solve yourself. A medium-sized problem, you may need some help. A big problem, an adult needs to help you solve it, or even as an adult, you need a lot of other people to help you. So for example, you know, if someone's has to go to the hospital, then the paramedics come, you've got all these people who are helping you. You want to turn it? This is a picture from one of Michelle Winter's early learning series. And you can see the little girl on the left. She's standing on a green box, which means it's a little problem. She has spilled juice on the floor. A little problem, right? She can solve that herself. All she has to do is take something and clean it up. But she is having a reaction, which is a big problem reaction. So those two are not matching. We talk a lot about matching the size of the problem to the size of the reaction. I know one day I thought I was going to visit my new grandson, and I thought I had a reservation. Okay, really, in the scheme of things, not a big problem. But I had a huge reaction. You would have thought someone died. Okay, so emotional regulation, really, really important to work on, talk about frequently. And again, this is something you can use at your house. You don't need these materials. You can take different colors and just start teaching your children, you know, how to regulate. Yes.
Okay. This is another tool, again, that you can, this is a chart from Michelle Garcia Winter, but I put my student on there. But really what it is, you can use this for very accepted behaviors, you know, what you're looking for, expected or unexpected. And what it is really something could happen, and in this case, the child paid attention in PE, and I wrote down exactly what he said. What was good? As a result, how did the people around him act? And as a result of, or how did they feel? How did they react? And how did you feel after that? So in this case, he listened to the teacher in PE, yay. He paid attention. He often doesn't pay attention and gets goofy and gets in trouble, right? But this is a good time. So how did it make the other people feel? The teacher felt good. Oftentimes I'll make the students describe more than good, but I figured we're going through this the first time. This is a good thing. And the kids felt good because they weren't constantly interrupted. This was his talking to me about it. What was the result? And this is a little sad. The teacher treated me like a person. I didn't want to go there at that moment. But, you know, he was constantly interrupting the class, and she would constantly be sending him out. So she called on me, because she doesn't call on me, because I'm always in trouble. And usually when I'm not paying attention, she ignores me. right? And the kids were nice to me. That was the result. So we have feelings, the result of the people, how they're feeling, and what was his result, what was his feeling. Then he felt good. I felt like I was really doing good. I was calm, I was smiling, I was proud. And so what I added was, this was one expected deed, one good deed, and 21 people were affected by your one good deed. Amazing. The kids, the teacher, your parents, 21 people. He's like, whoa. We want them to realize that you impact people positively or negatively, whether you realize it or not, or whether you want to or not, but you do. And on the other hand, quickly, the opposite can happen. He was upset. He recorded screaming noises into the phone. He was repeating that recording in the bus going home the whole time. The bus driver, as a result, was very upset. The kids were very annoyed. The bus driver, what happened? The bus driver told his parents he was grounded. Okay, the same student. Okay, and at the end he said, you know, I felt really bad and sad. I wouldn't do it again, because I don't want to get grounded. And I was a little sad about that. I was hoping he'd say, because I don't want people to be uncomfortable. I don't want people not to like me. He hasn't gotten there yet. But this was very telling to me, too, of where he is. And as a result of that one unexpected deed, 10 people were negatively affected about you. So it's just another tool.
Okay, we have many resources on your handout, so I hope you'll look at those. And we brought some materials which we put on the front chairs if you want to come and take a look. Some of our favorite books. Of course, we couldn't bring our whole library or we'd need a bus. But we love Mo Willems. If you don't know Mo Willems, it doesn't matter what age your child is. He has a lot of books that have they have thought bubbles and talking bubbles, but very few words. So they're really great. And the facial expressions and the concepts that he uses are really relational. So I think that's important. So don't forget to look at your handout. There are lots of games that we play. We play a lot of games because, as I said, the interaction is so important and having fun. So Alana's going to tell you about some of the games.
We'll do it really quick. I know time is almost gone. A dice game or a spinner game, just the idea of when your turn is done, you pass the dice to the next person. You're thinking about the next person as opposed to, my turn's done, I'm done, I'll just wait. Talking about who goes first. Negotiating who goes first. What's fair? Are you the guest? Did you go first the last game? Talking. How to place the board. A lot of our kids just place the board. Here I am. My board is this way, and you have to look at it upside down. Wow. I'm not thinking about you. We've got to turn that board. But this is kind of talking and reasoning it through. Play it backwards. Play Candyland from the end to the beginning. A lot of our kids are very rigid thinking, right? That has to be this way. We need to go to the doctor using these streets. We want our kids to be more flexible, because then they can use, once you're rigid, you can't think. You're in the red zone. So, or silently.
Frequently, we have students who want a particular color mover, and that's a whole negotiation. The other thing is negotiating what game we're going to play. Frequently, I'll take out several games and ask them to vote on what game they want to play. That is very interesting. And sometimes when people lose, they go into the blue zone or the red zone sometimes. These games are cooperative games. Everything we do, we want to think about cooperation. And a lot of those
These are just 3 games that it's us against the game. So, and you have to work together. Do you think we should go this way or that way? And some of them don't need a whole lot of language at all, but they're very cool games. These are higher level games with a lot of thinking and abstract ideas and perspective taking. They are great games, but take a look at them depending on what your child's levels are. And gardening. From beginning to end. Buying the seeds, what kind of seeds, or buying a plant. Well, Dad doesn't like tomatoes, so we're not going to do tomatoes. Well, what does Dad like? I don't know. Asking your child to help pick out and why. Oh, well, we want cucumbers because Dad loves cucumbers. Cool. Planting it, measuring it. one person could be measuring it and using different measuring devices, rulers, all those different kinds. And then harvesting, even weeding. Those were pumpkins that we made in the garden. So, get your hands dirty. Some of my students, they had to get their hands dirty. Okay.
Okay, and cooking is one of my favorite activities. Again, we have to decide what we're going to make. Many times the students don't like, all of the students don't like what we've made. We have an agreement that it's fun to participate, but you don't have to eat it, because a lot of our kids have sensory issues, and there's nothing I hate worse than forcing someone to eat. It's really good, and in this case, planning a menu together, and then the executive functioning piece of thinking, what do we need? What are we going to need for this? What ingredients are we going to need? What utensils are we going to need? What are the steps we're going to do? And then, did it come out well? Did we like it? Did it taste good? Or next time we need to leave out the extra baking powder or whatever we put in, which happens frequently.
One last. We're almost done. We talked about, you saw videos of young adults that were pretty verbal. We showed you a bunch of things that you can do with, whether silently or with individuals that don't have so much language. But then in the middle, okay, you have language. All right, how do I have my child talk to other people? They don't know what to talk about. Like, how do we get there? So we can do something called people drawers or people files, whatever you want to talk about. And you should even do it in your own house. You'd be surprised at what your kids think you like to do. Of course, all moms love to clean. That was something, what does mom like to clean? Of course, right? I'm like, yeah, well, sometimes we do things we don't like. But, and you'd be surprised at what do they think? What do they notice about you? What do they not notice about you? And these happen to be, 3 people from a group of high schoolers that I had. Well, not the dog, but Miss Alana. After a number of months, I wanted to know what did they get? Did they learn anything about each other? And they know that Miss Alana likes the Yankees and jewelry. So I was really happy that they said that. Yes, that's right. R loves steak and has a girlfriend. Yes, that's what they thought. A loves elevators and computers. That's right. And then often I'd have my dog Murphy in the session with us, and I just was curious, what would they think? And Murphy loves bones, he said, and loves to bark and be quiet. So here you have the beginnings of what you can talk to another person about. If you know I like the Yankees, you could say, even if you know nothing about the Yankees, were the Yankees playing last night? Or did you go out with your girlfriend? So these are things that at least are a starting point that you start thinking about what other people like, not just, everybody doesn't love Roblox, I swear, but a lot of our students think that. They are completely amazed that you don't like Roblox. The whole world doesn't like it. So anyway, it's a beginning. And do it with your family and your grandparents so they start to see people have other likes besides what they like. Oh, sorry.
Okay. This is our closing. So if you're getting ready to leave, just know that we've made it to the end. This is a pile of shoes. Notice that they're good size shoes. This picture was sent to me by one of my dear friends who has a grandson who is on the spectrum and never had a friend until he was in middle school. And she sent me this picture with tears in her eyes and said, wow, look at this. He started making friends in middle school. He had 1 friend in middle school. In high school, he had 2 more friends. In college, he picked up a couple of more friends. And this is a culmination. Now he has a conglomerate of friends. He's done with graduate school, and he's going to work for Google. So he's had quite a successful development. But over the years, never wanted to talk on the phone, never wanted to talk to Granny and tell her anything about what was going on. So this is a great outcome. Not all outcomes are this wonderful, but what I'd like to remind you to do is to have a vision of what you want for your child or your young adult, to hold that vision, but to be flexible and know that you might not get up here, but you're going to make some progress. And then the most important thing that I have to say is just be light, have fun socially, expose your child to a lot of experiences. That is going to make a difference in their ability to be social. Yes?
Can I share just one resource with you?
Sure. Here, I'm going to give you the mics so they can hear it on the...
Hi, this has been wonderful. Thank you. My name is Kathy Robinson. I work at the UF Center for Autism and Related Disabilities, and I make visual supports. And I have found Jill Kuzma, K-U-Z-M-A. She makes visuals that go along with some of Michelle Garcia Winner's suggestions, and she has a whole website also on these social skills. So if you just Google Jill Kuzma, K-U-Z-M-A, social thinking, and there's all kinds of things that are free, downloadable, printable, and they're just great. So wanted to make sure you knew about those.
Keeping your eyes, brain, and body in the group with us, and thinking about us, and being a player with us. And you know, we're here. There's materials. We can take questions. Thank you for staying. If there's any questions, we can't hardly see. Oh, there's a question there.
Yes.
Could you go back to the slide with the person's face that you were asking?
The people file. Yeah, that one.
What are those boxes representing?
These are the people in the group. Over here is...
Oh, hold on one second, Lana. What are those people representing is the question.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, these are the people that were in the group. At that particular day, there was two people in the group, R and A. There was me, Miss Alana, and my dog. So you can put you can put as many boxes up there you want. You know, I would say make it different colors for different people. Again, we're trying to do visuals, and put in there. You know, try to guess. At what point you can guess what is Mom like. You know, what is Grandpa like? Or if he has friends, what do you think so and so likes? And if you kind of say, okay, then you know, you got to press further.
Yeah, so like you could expand on that, maybe like what do they need, how are they feeling, like all of these things that...
You can use it for feelings if you want. This was really for me to see, were they paying attention to the other people in the group? Or was it all about themselves? You know, I like Roblox and I don't care what you like, you know.
I like the idea of being creative. I mean, there's lots of things on the internet, and you can take what you see that someone else did and just expand on it. Yeah, that's great. Also, I wanted to mention Anna Vagan. Anna Vagan also has a conversation paths on a PowerPoint that you can use, and she also has worked a lot with short video clips and Disney clips, like trailers, and there are a lot of them in your handout which have no words, and it's wonderful for interpreting what's happening. What are they saying? What do they mean when they say that? So that's also a wonderful resource. Any other questions?
There's books here. You know, the other thing is about context. You know, just to remember, make sure your child really knows. I don't mean to say where he is, but what does that mean? You know, you're not going to say hey to the principal, but you're going to say hey to a buddy. And just remember about just there's not one way of we wish there were just set rules, because if there were, it would be easy, right? Everybody would follow those rules. All of those rules, you never have the same situation twice, you know? So keep their eyes looking for clues. I don't know.
Where do you practice?
We're in Palm Beach County. But
Together in a facility?
yes and no.
Yes. You're in St. Lucie. And we also have done virtual right now. After during the pandemic, we were doing online social groups and matching people.
Do you have a Facebook group, a support
Do we have a Facebook group?
Oh, do we have a
No, but that's a grand idea.
do we have our email?
And our emails are in the handout.
You can call.
Did you get a handout? Yes. Oh, okay,
Yes,
good.
I mean, you can always call if you have questions. Call us, email us. I mean,
Right.
we know it's hard to find the right social fits for everybody, you know, or even for people to even in the schools. It's hard to do it. It's just hard.
We didn't say this, but there are very few people doing Michelle Winner's work because I have learned so much just doing that work because it requires me to be flexible and open to whatever's going to happen. And that's can be a little bit scary, to do that. But it turns out it is really fun, and it's a learning experience. And like I said, 51 years. Why doesn't this lady just sit down and be quiet? Because it's just too much fun. I can't stop.
I think there was one other thing we kind of touched on. Well, the eyes we talked about, but the why of eyes. So many times I hear, "Look at me." Look at me. The teacher is saying, look at me. Or you're even saying to your kids, how many times do you say, look at me? The idea is they'll look at you and they'll look away. Or they'll look at you, their face is this way, but their eyes are down. Our job is to say, why? It's like, I need you to look at me because when you look at me, I know you're thinking about me. It makes me feel so good. It's not look at me because it's a rule. It's look at me because it feels so good. And also, they pick up clues. Hopefully, they get to a level that, okay, you look at somebody and they're going like this, and I get the clue. I better, be quiet. They're not interested. But if they're not going to look to find those clues, they have to be a detective. Is really what we all are, and it's not just about I'm looking right at you. It's why I'm looking at you.
And then when you get older, you don't want to be looking at people because then that makes people think uncomfortable thoughts, right? Yes. Okay. Any other questions, comments? You're welcome to come up and chat. Thank you so much, and wishing you safe travels home.